everybody, welcome back.
Welcome back. You keep coming back.
And we thank you for it. Yes.
Yeah. Now for the fake news.
Today is one of our special roundup episodes where we look at the last 9 games that we played. Why 9? To keep the numbering simple.
Is 10 too much because 10 is a double digit?
Well, it means that right now, every multiple of 10 is a special episode.
Oh, sure.
So it's just easier to keep track of that way.
Absolutely.
Which is, the numbering is going to get a little weird because I'm cramming in an extra game to the next 9, but we'll talk about that when it happens because I want to keep the special 10.
All a surprise to me.
Yeah. So the games we are talking about today, we're going to talk about the tropes and the things we liked and the things we didn't, and there will be discussions and arguments, and somebody's going to die.
Somebody's going to bring up Final Fantasy Tactics. And I'm going to throw... No, because we didn't play that this time. I'm going to flip a table.
The 9 games we're discussing are Suikoden, Final Fantasy VI, Trials of Mana, Trails in the Sky 3.
Trials and Trails. That's confusing.
Trials in the Sky.
Yeah.
Trails of Mana.
Trails of Mana, yes.
Triangle Strategy. Did I say Wild Arms?
Trials Angle Strategy.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Breath of Fire 3. Star Ocean 1 and Persona 2 1.
We had a theme going with the there.
Yeah.
Did you say Wild Arms?
I have.
You did,
I have
and
now.
then you said, "Did I say Wild Arms?" And yeah.
So we played Wild Arms 3 times.
I mean, I've played Wild Arms a lot more than 3 times. I've also played Wild Arms Ultra Code F.
I have played Wild Arms since we did that episode.
Nice.
But only a little.
All right, so we're going to go around and do the tropes that we have normally done, and then we're going to talk about our personal choices, which is fun. I'll start with the first thing that we've started with, and we go through like busts and booms with this one. And in this case, 0 games in which priests saved our souls and our games.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point here in time of the games that we reviewed where that was kind of falling away.
Eventually, this may disappear from our list as we continue to get zeros for it. But
because
for a while,
than
it was
Dragon
hot.
Quest, I don't know the like modern game where you go to a priest to save your game and your soul.
Chris, did you want to take the next one?
Join the dark side?
These are games where you have a dialogue option to join the enemies.
Oh. Am I reading this?
Yeah, go for it.
It's ink on paper. I know. I also don't know what's going on. But
well, it's
ink
also
is on paper.
It's also a game I didn't play or contribute to, so it's like.
But it's such a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So, what we have for Join the Dark Side is Breath of Fire 3. At the end of the game, you can choose to surrender to the end boss, ending the game without a boss fight, which harkens back to the original JRPG, which would be
Yep, Dragon Quest 1, which I think is
the
where
original
this trope.
The original console JRPG,
Sure,
I should say. And then an honorable mention goes to Suikoden because you start off on the dark side, which, like in Star Wars Episode 9. Wait, what's the one? 7? You know, the guy who starts off as a stormtrooper.
Yes, that would be 7.
Yes, yeah.
Finn.
Him. Star Wars is a thing that exists.
That's all I know about it. Only because the internet told me.
Am I doing the next one?
Yeah.
Ancient. Well, okay. I'm glad I'm doing the next one because I actually refute this. Ancient robots in a fantasy setting. You said there were 0.
I did. Where was I wrong?
But every Final Fantasy has robots, and I get that like Final Fantasy VI is like we're having technology and all of that stuff. But there's also there's like Atma weapon that is like
true
ancient and like technology.
Okay,
beyond.
It has little spinning gears.
I wasn't thinking of Final Fantasy VI as a fantasy setting anymore, but I see your point.
Is right there in the name.
Yes.
So good job. And then,
but it's the last one.
It is the last.
It's
one.
the final one.
The last one. And then in Trails, every Trails game has the archaisms.
Sure.
that are, again, we're getting into a little bit more of a modern world. But
yeah, again, I wasn't thinking of that as a fantasy setting, but I see your point.
Yeah, but it's like technology that existed during the...
And it is ancient robots.
In the Star Ocean review, which is Russ's favorite episode.
It is.
We did start off talking about how Star Ocean looked like it was going to be a sci-fi game, but ended up being a fantasy setting. So the fact that it has robots means that by our own definition, we have to include it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you gave me this category because
so you could tell
I got
me
to
all
just
the
tell you
that
all the
I
ways
wrong.
that you were wrong. Yeah. And then Wild Arms, again, Wild Arms is in a world that is like, it's more Wild West, but it's like on a decline. And then there's all of those big robots.
True.
That you unearth from, yeah. So
so you
probably,
have utterly corrected
it's probably
me.
Every single game on this list.
And their arms,
their arms are wild.
Their arms are nowhere near in control.
Right. So one that we definitely encountered is the final boss having multiple forms.
Oh, sure.
Which is a pretty standard trope, and we got it in Trails of Mana, Final Fantasy VI, Wild Arms, and Star Ocean 1. I'm always surprised when this one doesn't show up in a game, I should say.
Sure. Like Suikoden.
Yeah, like Suikoden or Persona 2-1.
Suikoden was so surprising to me that it ended. It's just that after all that buildup, it's just like, you find the final boss and you're like, plink, and it's like, all right, roll credits.
So Chris is going to tell us about surprise bosses, but as a reminder, this category, this is where you spend most of, if not all of the game in the pursuit of a single evil entity. But that evil entity turns out not to be the final boss. They do a swaparoo right at the end. Final Fantasy IV is the example I always use. Because that whole game is, we got to get Golbez. Then right at the very end, it's like, no, Golbez was being controlled by this other person. And there he is, fight him.
Yeah.
And then you fight him and you're like, no, wait. Just kidding. It's this other guy.
Yeah. No, now you have to fight his anger.
And on the moon.
Now, I'm going to say that I need to know the statute of limitations for what constitutes a surprise boss, because Final Fantasy VI very famously has a bait and switch boss.
Yeah, but that's at the halfway mark of the game.
Unless you're speedrunning.
The idea here is that the closer to the end, the better.
Okay.
Because, yes, it does seem like Emperor Gestel is the guy, but at the halfway mark of the game, you learn the true enemy.
I know, it's real fun correcting Jeff.
Right, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
got to sit here and defend myself.
It fills time, which is, again, the most finite of resources.
I will never get this moment back.
Surprise boss. We have 3 on the list. We have Trials of Mana, a third act boss. Reminds me of Dragon Quest XI. Which I played both those games, but I've only beaten Dragon Quest XI, so you'll have to
So you beat the. There's 3 different stories in Trials of Mana, each tied to 2 different characters. They beat the boss that is specific to their story, and you're like, cool, I saved the realm. And then the credits roll, and then after the credits, but there's a magical book that's twinkling. Go check out the book. And you open the book and there's a great cosmic evil that you now have to destroy that has nothing to do with your stories up to this point. Go kill him.
The way Dragon Quest XI handled that is beautiful, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
I will refute that a little bit.
Not that it's
bad, but there's a weird thing where, like, when the Luminary goes to the alternate timeline, basically, you spent Act 2 having, like, so much character development, and then all of that is, like, technically, like, never happened in the new timeline, but everybody acts like it did.
I know.
Since that gets into such spoiler territory, I really want to discuss it off the podcast, but I do want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Persona 2-1, discovering the Persona 2 Stage 1.
Yeah.
Discovering the true identity of the end boss is one of the main thrusts of the plot, and you don't know who it is until you finally face him.
This is true.
Yeah.
No idea.
Chris is just reading what I wrote and trusting me and letting Russ correct him.
Yeah, exactly. And I will not argue with Russ. I'm sure he's more right. Star Ocean. You think the end boss is going to be the demon lord Asmodeus until you beat him and suddenly have to go to an alien world and fight Khan.
Yep. That is very abrupt.
Yes.
That is just, I'm playing
By the way, fight the genetic Superman. Go.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it's got a game with space travel. You spend your whole time in a fantasy world until the last hour. And then you go to like a futuristic world and have to fight.
From the ancient past.
Correct.
I still love it, though.
Crazy. Love that series.
Perici in space. I love it.
Yes.
Go ahead, Russ.
We have our silent protagonists, which is my favorite thing in a game. I'm kidding.
It's becoming less common in the games we're playing.
Yeah. Suikoden. Yes, exactly. Persona 2-1. Yes, although... just because I like to correct you. And this isn't a correction. This is just me saying that in Persona 2-1, Tatsuya is silent. But in Persona 2-2, he's not, because he's not the protagonist.
Does Maya become silent?
And Maya becomes silent. And the only reason that I wanted to point that out is because Maya has so much personality.
She does.
Just so much personality. She has her positive thinking line, all of that. And then all of a sudden, the thing that I don't, because overall I prefer Eternal Punishment more, but I don't like that they strip Maya of all of her personality in that game because she's the main character and suddenly doesn't talk anymore. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then we have an honorable mention for Breath of Fire 3 because the main character only speaks during a dream sequence with himself, which I think there are other games that do that.
I mean,
right?
we counted Chrono Trigger as an honorable mention because there is one ending in which he has a line of dialogue.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, yeah.
A fight you're supposed to lose. These are usually when you get into a fight and you get your butt handed to you, that is a game over or a redo or whatever. But occasionally games have one where the story expects you to fail and then the story continues from that failed fight. And we have 3 of them. We have in Suikoden, there's actually 2 army battles and the first battle against Necklord you are supposed to lose. Final Fantasy VI, there's a handful. One against Kefka and the first one against Punubaba. Punubaba. And then in Breath of Fire 3, the Unicorn Brothers, a couple of times. Although you can beat them.
I was going to say, yes, you can.
Which is Russ's favorite thing.
I love that because I did it one time. I beat that first battle with the Unicorn Brothers.
And what do you get for it?
And that you get dialogue, and then they just knock you out anyway.
That's how Lufia does it, except for a couple of exceptions.
Yeah. Can you beat Gades? Okay, I've never done that.
In the first game, or is it the third game? It's one of the games where he's like, "Ow, okay, so you're kind of strong, but take this." But in Lufia 2, you get the Goddess Blade or the Gades Blade. I call him Goddess because that's the one Lufia with voice acting calls him Goddess.
Yes, yeah.
But
just always
in Lufia 2, you actually do get his blade, which is normally something you only get in the cave, the ancient cave.
Oh yeah, I have beaten him. You said 3, and I have beaten him before in that first battle in 3. Yeah. And you get, is it a shield? You get it's a piece of armor you get that is like stronger than anything you get for over half of the game.
I beat them all in a row, all 5 of them, and it was like 2 years ago, so they're kind of messed up in my head right now.
In Lufia 3, it's just easy to beat him because they have the randomly generated dungeons, and you can search for the arrow items, and then you can just beat the hell out of it.
Too bad the ear cleaner's not available at that point, because that item wrecks. I love Lufia 3. It's actually my favorite Lufia, believe it or not.
I like it a lot, too. Yeah, it's really good.
Anyway.
It's your turn.
Oh, gambling minigames, which is another Dragon Quest thing. Suikoden has a dice game, a spinning cups game, and a matching game. The spinning cups game is basically free money.
Yep.
Because it's so easy and you get so much cash. Trails, that wasn't written, by the way. I said that.
Yeah, you're allowed to say whatever you'd like.
Colorful
I know.
Commentary.
I just want people to know that the spinning cups game, absolutely breakable. Trials in the Sky 3.
Trails.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear.
One of the bonus doors has blackjack and poker mini games. Another has a trivia game.
Mm-hmm.
It's delightful. Trails in the Sky, I feel like
my disappointment when I opened those doors,
Aw.
and I didn't get like more interesting story. I just got a mini game.
Please tell me the trivia game is all about like the massive amount of characters and you have to like name them.
It is in-world trivia.
Yeah,
so.
it is.
Uh-huh.
Basically, every Trails game has some version.
If you didn't know, Mega Man Legends 2 has a 100, like a trivia game that goes up to 100 questions, and they're all real world questions. Only one question has to do with the Mega Man Legends universe. The rest are like just stuff out of a book.
I like that though. I know specifically in Persona 5, I got such a rush when you would have to answer questions in class about like math and science and history and shit. And occasionally I would know the answer and I would be like, this is amazing.
Which, by the way, because Mega Man Legends 2 has some pop culture questions in the trivia set, Bruce Springsteen is canonically part of the Mega Man universe.
Nice.
Well, the
Because
Mega Man Legends universe.
Love that for
Yeah.
him.
So just letting you know,
Yeah.
the boss is there. The boss man.
Yep.
Boss man, a Mega Man joke. Anyway, Breath of Fire 3, you can unlock casino mini games in the Fairy Village.
Like all fairy villages.
Indeed. Any fairy village worth its salt. Persona 2 Stage 1, an entire casino, and you can manipulate the games through rumors.
You can make them easier to win. You can make them pay out more.
Nice. Honorable mention, Wild Arms. There are games at the fair, but they are mostly games of skill, not chance.
And then we have one more trope, and Russ, you can have it.
Yeah, only teenagers can save the world.
Well, it's not a mini game, but I mean, Setzer has to count for something, doesn't he?
I mean, yeah, he has
sure.
the roulette attack. Absolutely. We should count Setzer.
Roulette is a blue magic. He also has slots, and those are actually, you can manipulate those. And he also has the fixed dice weapon. So you got a trifecta.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. I should have included Setzer.
Setzer
Good
is
call.
a
And this is why these are good as a discussion.
wonderful sexual harasser.
Yeah. Well, he's more like a kidnapper.
He is a kid.
He's
Yes,
kind of,
he
he's
really,
a little
it's
stronger.
It's worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a little stronger than that.
yeah, worse.
Edgar now. That's the harasser.
Which I was, well, yeah.
And now for Russ's favorite topic.
Yeah, only teenagers can save the world, so I guess I'm past my opportunity to do that. Suikoden, yes, the main character is a teenager. There are like 60, I mean, there are 108 recruitable characters, but like 60-something in your party, and many of them are not teenagers. Suikoden, I love Suikoden. Suikoden has just such a
Suikoden was very good.
surprisingly like mature storyline given the fact that your main character is a 16-year-old boy.
Fantastic
and
games.
Grimmio. Ugh. I think Grimmio's like 20, but he's annoying and awful, and I hate him. Final Fantasy VI, yes. Terra and Celeste are 18. Gao is 13. Realm is 10.
Yeah.
When Edgar
Umaro is 1.
hits on her, right? Exactly. And isn't Mog like 10 or something?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Mog's
everybody
are-
else is outside of teenager
But everybody else,
range.
I do see where, yeah, exactly. Like Edgar and Sabin are like in their 20s, and Shadow is in his 30s or whatever. So yeah, there's a wide range of characters in
They
there.
say Cyan is in his 50s, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. He should be a little younger.
Well, that's always what I thought too, because his kid is like 6 or something.
yeah. Well, and just
Yeah.
he doesn't look like a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Luddite, but still.
Yeah.
Like it's
He's, in my opinion, sucks so much in battle, but he's such a great character.
I did make a concerted effort to use him more in my playthrough, and I did find some stuff that I was like, okay, I can work with this. But
It's
yeah, he
better
gets
in the Pixel remaster because you don't have to sit on the sword tech screen
true.
and wait.
But there's still a trigger time.
There is a trigger time,
Yeah.
but you can be doing other stuff
Yeah.
during that time, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, Final Fantasy VI, Trials of Mana, yes, they're all teenagers. They're,
Except for what her name, Charlotte.
well,
Charwit?
that's what I was going to say.
Charwit.
She's 15, but she's part elf, so that's why she looks
3.
3. And I hate when they do that to characters. Looking at you, Star Ocean, The Last Hope. Trails in the Sky 3, Kevin's not a teen. But Estelle and Joshua are teens.
I couldn't find a canonical age for Kevin. He could be 19.
No, I think his canonical age, because I'm an expert in this game.
Okay.
He's like 22 or something. I think he is not a teen.
But we have enough teens, I feel,
there are a lot
count.
of... there are, yes. Estelle and Joshua are definitely teens. There are a lot of teens in Trails games. Wild Arms, yes. Cecilia and Rudy are teens. Jack is 27, which is a little creepy. That he is running around with two teens.
15-year-olds.
Technically, Rudy's a robot. So, it is what it is. Breath of Fire 3, yes, your main character is like 5 at the beginning of that game. And swishing around his little sword. Yeah. This is not a visual medium, but I am swishing around my little sword right now. Persona 2-1, yes, all but one of your main party members are in high school. The best party member, Maya, is the one who is not in high school. And then Star Ocean 1, yeah, about half the cast is under 20. Your Roddick and Millie, your like main couple characters are teenagers, but then like Ilya and Ronix is like in his 30s.
Yeah, Ronix is 38 canonically.
Ilya is mid-20s,
like
right?
25 or
And then
something.
Ashley's 57.
He is.
He's
yeah.
Wait, Fia's over teenager. She's a general in the army, right?
Yes.
And
please, like you can't be a teenager and a general.
I mean, Celise could be.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, Fia's older. Cius is older.
Yeah, Cius is older.
Mavelle is technically older, but then when she becomes heiress, she's a teenager.
Welch is possibly eternal.
Right. Yes. I mean, Welch is just a human from the world that is controlling us, based on. What I was going to say is in Star Ocean, interestingly, because you can make food, you can cook, and you can make recipes, and characters that are under 20 can't make the alcohol. And maybe, and this is where I don't know 100%, can't drink the alcohol.
That's funny.
Items. I know they can't make it.
Interesting.
And they may also not be able to use it.
I may have
as an
overlooked
item.
that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So.
And what I think is pretty interesting is triangle strategy did not show up on any of these tropes. It didn't fall into any of these categories, and I think that's the first time we've ever had a game not be in any of these tropes.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
I'll have to play it to, really dig up a semantic argument to make, but it's too late.
Just go with the girl with pink hair.
Yeah.
Now we get to go into where people don't just read what I wrote and disagree with me. Now we can disagree with me after
real
writing
time.
our own
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst character from all of these games. I put down Charlotte.
I knew you would, and so did I, because this was such a good list of games, and she's just the one that sticks out. Charlotte.
And especially somehow, and it's not her fault, but somehow I hold it against her that at one point, just randomly scrolling through YouTube, somebody created a mod to give her enormous breasts and a bouncy butt. And I'm like, she's 5.
Yeah.
Can we not? It's not her fault.
Internet's
but
gonna
I'm
internet.
holding it against
Yeah.
her anyway.
I'm glad I haven't seen that one. I've seen the ones of Angela and Reed.
You will before you leave.
Oh, God. But I haven't seen the Shawit ones. And I can't believe they did that with her voice. Apparently, from what I've heard, in the original Japanese, she does have like a little kid affectation or whatever to her voice. But I just know the way they did it in English is so annoying. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know.
My
I
name is
can't.
Shawit. Yeah, it is terrible.
Chris, who do you have for the worst character?
Okay, so I was going to write Charlotte, even though I haven't really played as her, and also there's 108 Stars of Destiny, and I was like trying to remember. There's got to be
the most useless one.
There's like 2 chefs, right?
Yeah. I thought about that too, being like, who is awful from Suikoden?
But you know what? I decided, based on just characters that I actually would have any kind of feelings for, I put Kefka, the ultimate antagonist of Final Fantasy VI. I think he sucks and always has, and I think he's the reason why I don't want a Final Fantasy VI remake.
Interesting.
I don't want to see a goofy Joker clown running around being like, "Hee, I'm a murder clown." And then
That's true.
it's like
It's a hot take.
Yeah, I think Kefka works in the 16-bit world he occupies, where his only spoken line is
Yeah, that's true.
and I even prefer the Ted Woolsey like kind of cleaned up dialogue where he's less murderous and more
they
silly.
Definitely have to do if they do a remake. They definitely have to use that version.
Yeah, but they won't. I mean, he'll probably be fine. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth : Rebirth has definitely they've definitely shown us that they can make some over the top characters like kind of work where they don't. So I believe in Square.
They'll add a Kefka dress up game.
Yeah, I'm not a video game maker, so I cannot say whether they can or cannot.
They add a thing where you can do his face makeup, and that's what he looks like for the whole game.
Oh, like White from Final Fantasy IV on DS.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Or
I remember that
Animal
game.
Crossing. One of the Animal Crossings did that, I think. You could make yourself
There
have
was
there was a cat, and you could... Although, people would just put dicks on his face.
Yeah, but that would be fine.
Yeah, for Kefka.
But it's like, if you think about all the villains of Final Fantasy and all this other stuff, and whatever, everybody gravitates towards, somebody like Sephiroth or whatever, like big, imposing, menacing. Kefka is like, he starts off worthless and runs into magic. That's all he does. Mm-hmm. I think that in a story as good as Final Fantasy VI, like putting a Joker clown, murder guy in the as the antagonist, like, I don't know. It's just like it's the weakest move in a game full of strong moves. So it's not that it's particularly bad. It's just that I think that Kefka is the worst character, and I think that he's kind of a corner that somebody wrote themselves into. And like, even when they gave him a last name, Palazzo, they're like, "Oh, we're going to humanize him by giving no, don't do that. No. Make him, if you're going to make him the Joker, he's just Kefka and he has no past."
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
The more you learn about Kefka and the more we see him in other games, the less I think he is good.
Interesting.
So that's my little hot take on it.
As a 180, we have the best character. And I picked one from a game that I didn't even like that much. I picked Mechatita from Trails in the Sky 3 because I just find her super useful in combat because she's got a ranged area of attack. I like her storylines with Agate and her mom. I think it's silly and fun, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
She's the little sister of the group.
Is so cute.
I'm a fan of Tita, and Mechatita, when you unlock her special exosuit, is super cool.
One of my favorite lines in the Trails game is in the first Trails in the Sky, when she's at the hot springs place fixing the hot springs. And she's singing, "Fixie, fixie, fix it." I think she's so cute.
I just picture you doing that around your house.
Fixie, fixie, fix it. Yeah, she's good. That's a good choice.
Russ, who do you have as your best character?
Well, I cheated, and I have two for two different reasons. One is story related, and one is like gameplay related. And my favorite story related character is Celise or Celis from Final Fantasy VI. She's one of her. Yeah. She's like one of my favorite video game characters, period. She tries to throw herself off a cliff in the middle of
rather than eat one more damn fish
after the world ends. She's just a very well realized character, especially for that 16-bit era of games. Yeah, just love her. For gameplay wise, I picked Cleo from Suikoden because Cleo, she's there from the beginning. Like, she is with the main character for that whole game. She's extremely useful in combat. She's just a mainstay in my party every time that I've played that game. But like, she gets no fanfare or anything.
That's true.
So I just wanted to make this kind of a Cleo.
Cleo gets her day.
Yeah, Cleo gets what she deserves. That sounded wrong, but like,
she's gonna get what she deserves.
She gets the fanfare that she deserves because she is a great addition to that party, and she is there the whole time, through thick and thin, through everything that our main character goes through.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
Chris.
Okay, so my runner's up, and this is just like responding to everybody else's. I actually am more of a Terra than a Celes or Celeste.
That's a good choice. I like Tara.
Like Tara a lot. I like her journey. I like that
she wants to know what love is.
I like that she's the hero that rejects the call.
Her.
She's the hero that rejects the call like halfway through the story, which is pretty great. You don't see that a lot in video games, and or at least as that kind of struggle, and then she just kind of gives up the spotlight. Really, I would also give it to Stallion in Suikoden because he makes the party run twice as fast.
True.
That's beautiful. Also, he's a blue-haired elf archer guy.
Yeah.
I love him. He always stayed in my party. But actually, I think Victor's the best character in that game.
Oh, Victor is.
I love Victor.
Yeah. But everybody loves. That's why I picked Cleo.
Yeah,
everybody
loves
Victor.
That's true. That's true. What you said is true.
But Cleo needs her day.
Back when I used to blog, and I had a video game blog, I had like the 5 best mans in video games, and Victor was one of them.
Yeah,
he's one of the best mans.
Yeah, Cyan is great.
Cyan is one of the manliest mans.
Yep.
This is true.
Anyways, but who I picked for my best character and who I wrote down in mechanical pencil on this piece of paper is Perici, because I love Perici. Because, one, her voice actor is amazing.
Yeah.
Her English voice actor. And that's in a game that already stars one of my favorite voice actors. Is that,
Dick
even
Smallberries, yeah. I know.
I love Fia, but, Fia's kind of got, her story breaks down a little bit. But Perici is just there to be a cat girl who just, if she loves somebody, she shouts it from the rooftops. And it doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, she is a cat. And, I just love that about her, and I don't even care if she's aged up or sexualized in this game. It's like this is the kind of game where that would happen,
Of course.
But I mean, she just charmed me a lot. And even though I didn't actually use her in battle because I had Elia and Fia, and they wrecked everybody, I just had Millie.
She has an ability called Look Over There.
That's a great one.
And
she has some great abilities. But I just had Millie on like healing, and then Ilya and Fia just wrecked every single person. That's how I got through the game. But anyways, as a character, I was truly charmed by what should have been just a comedy relief character. But yeah, love her.
The next category, I think there's a good chance that we might have all picked the same game. Maybe.
I think.
So out of these 9 that were listed, I was going to say, we could say it together, but then Russ is going to definitely do something to throw that off.
Well, I don't think I play.
We could raise our hands, but nobody could see that. I picked Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. I knew everybody would, so I didn't.
Yeah, see, Russ has got to be this. Chris, what did you pick?
Well, yeah, Final Fantasy VI, of course.
So, Russ, what wrong choice did you make?
I will say that Final Fantasy VI is the best one, but I just
So we all picked Final Fantasy VI, is what I'm hearing.
Like with Cleo, I wanted to give the spotlight to a game that I really enjoy, which is Star Ocean. I think that original
Star Ocean is solid. Final Fantasy VI, though, it's just this was the peak of Super Nintendo JRPG, and the Super Nintendo was a great era of JRPG.
Again, I would say Final Fantasy V.
Considering Star Ocean started on the Super Nintendo,
it's true. Yeah,
and actually at 1996, that would be the peak.
That would be the peak.
So. I don't know that I need to go on at length about Final Fantasy VI. It's a fantastic game. It's a great game. The big twist in the middle is excellent. The cast of characters are vibrant and alive and interesting. The second half of the game is open world. Find your party members in a different order. Lots of secrets, lots of hidden stuff.
So you're
still got to be a way to get General Leo back alive. I know it's hidden in there somewhere.
Oh, I got him back alive for a bit.
And Daryl is definitely still alive as Go-Go.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Russ, you want to briefly make your case for Star Ocean over Final Fantasy VI?
I'm not making it over. I'm just saying that it is also an excellent
You picked it
game.
as best game.
I did, because it needs to be highlighted. I mean, it has a martial artist werewolf who got to this planet under unknown circumstances.
He got hit with a meteor.
And has no past or future. And he's just out to fight, and he has little glasses and he's just great. Yeah.
So what I picked for worst game is not going to surprise anybody who's been listening to the show. I love this series. I really do. Russ has introduced me to this series, and I have consumed it. But Trails in the Sky 3, no. Trails in the Sky 3, and I'm not going to go on at length like I did in the review, but I am going to reiterate, is basically DLC for Trails in the Sky 2.
Yeah.
It did not need to be a standalone game, and as a standalone game, it doesn't support itself.
I won't argue with that. It is the weakest, I think.
Yeah. What do you got?
I picked Persona 2 1.
Okay.
And it's a good game. It has Hitler in it. No, I'm just kidding. You can edit that out.
That is what Russ looks for in a video game.
Yeah, no. I only picked... This was a very strong list of 9 games. And I only picked it because of what Persona became after this.
It is weaker than the later entries.
It's weaker than the later entries. And I just... When I played a few hours of it for this review, I'm like, I can't do any more of this because of the demon negotiation and because of having to manage multiple personas for the whole party. There's tedium in it that does not exist in the personas that came after. And that's the only reason. But still a good game, and I still love Maya. Maya was a contender for my best character in this list.
Chris, what have you got?
Well, I didn't feel like it was very fair for me to judge these 9 games based on the fact that I've only played half of them. So I picked Jimbeori Director's Cut, which is a PS5 game by Gilson B. Pontes, a weirdo who keeps making video games even though he shouldn't. I reviewed that one lately on a podcast, and it is, as all of his games are, like one of the worst experiences you can have with a piece of electronic software. So bad that it is infiltrating another podcast and a list that is completely unrelated.
Okay.
Well, that's impressive.
It's just the worst game.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know what was happening for a minute.
I know.
It was so bad it's spreading.
Great. Yeah.
Best boss fight. I picked Kefka. I like the wedding cake style of it. The not knowing.
I love that description. I've never.
You
thought
feel
of
like you not knowing if you're making progress or not. Like, am I killing things? There's no visible sign that you're killing something other than it's not choosable anymore. Picking from your entire party in order, and if somebody is dead when the wedding cake goes up a tier, they're replaced is cool. What I always kind of want, and I don't know how it would work balance-wise or mechanically in these games that have super big parties, is I want to have everybody fight the end boss. Like, let me pick the moves for
Bizarro
16 characters. Because why? Why are we not all there? I mean, the games have to make up these little, we can't go in too big a party and we'll draw too much attention. But it's the end boss now.
Not if
Let
you're
everybody in.
Trails in the Sky 3. You got to use everybody.
Yeah. Now, I have encountered the Trails games where they make you split and have like 3 end bosses, and then you do use everybody, and that's cool. But I really want 16 on 1. I want everybody hitting Kefka. I don't know how you would balance that.
Or like 60 on one and Suikoden.
Yes, but this game at least lets you feel a little bit more like you're using the whole party, that the whole party is there. The music is great. The reveal of him as a beautiful angel at the very top is great. It's a great battle.
I always feel like with the large groups fighting a final boss or whatever, those are always made less fun by the fact that there's like unique best items in the game that you put on your main party, and then everybody else kind of gets the drippings.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you end up with like this character you've been neglecting for like half the game, suddenly facing off against Kefka, and you're just like, I didn't want to have to grind this guy. I actually think, and I know this game's going to come up at some point, but I actually really like the way FF8 did it.
See, I hate that.
Yeah, I know. It's a terrible boss fight, but the system they used was like, And the fact that that means that you have to like split up your GFs like really well.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I both hate it, and also I think it's really smart. With FF6, my pick is also from that. I'm sorry, I just took this over without being introduced.
You're fine.
I also picked FF6, but because the Kefka fight doesn't impress me as much because it's just sideways version of the X-Death fight, I picked the Phantom Train fight.
Suplex the train.
Mm-hmm. That's what everybody says, but I actually did not do that until I was like much older because I didn't realize you could. I just like the fact that you're fighting while running away from a train.
Right. It is very memorable.
Yeah. And I figured out how to Phoenix down the thing before I ever figured out how to suplex it. Yeah.
I love when I see fan art online of Sabin suplexing the train.
Yeah.
That's my favorite art to accidentally stumble across online.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, I know that I said that a remake couldn't happen because Kefka sucks too much. But I really think that if a remake did happen, that Phantom Train fight is going to be so good.
Yeah, that is true.
Just so good.
Yeah. How will they do that?
No, the final fight in FF6 is actually really rad, and having done it as Gao solo was really funny.
Yeah.
I watched that.
Yeah. No, that's a great choice. But yeah, I picked Phantom Train. I was just busting balls and whatnot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Russ, what do you got?
Mine, I also picked Final Fantasy VI, but I picked Atma Weapon / Ultima Weapon.
We all picked the same game, and we all picked different fights.
Different
because
ones.
it's the best game.
It is good.
It is really good. And I picked it because it still scares me to this day.
That music.
Right. And it's like, and even when you're just like seeing the little sprite of Ultima Weapon and you have to walk up to it.
There is some trepidation.
There's a dread that comes from that is still, even though I can play that game backwards and forwards blindfolded now, there's like that dread.
Just leave him in the toilet.
Do you ever redo the first version of that fight so you can try and steal a ribbon?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many times have you succeeded?
Maybe once, ever.
I think I've done like twice.
Yeah.
I definitely did in Pixel Remaster because I was like, I'm gonna overplay the Pixel Remaster version.
Yeah, I haven't done it in Pixel Remaster. I have found overall drop rates and things seem to be higher in the Pixel Remaster. I will tell you this.
Weapons are really hard to get in the Pixel Remaster.
Yeah. I just know in Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, I've gotten the cockatrice summon twice in playthroughs. And I have never gotten that. There was one playthrough I had on the PSP version where I got the cockatrice after the very first battle I fought because I got the eagle enemies or whatever, and they dropped it. I still have that save file because that is like a shining moment. But I've got like 2 cockatrice summons playthroughs.
The only one I have still never gotten, I believe, is the bomb one for me.
The only one I've never gotten is the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, I got that one finally in one of my playthroughs. I don't remember if it was the original Japanese or the Pixel Remaster.
I got all of them in Pixel Remaster.
I've only gotten one on the FF2 cart.
And 2 pink tails.
Wow.
The second one was by accident.
Game Boy Advance version, I had so many pink tails. I actually outfitted my whole party.
Nice. All right, in our last category, the most surprising game. This is for what Russ used best game for. This is to put a highlight on any game that you just wanted to talk about again, good or bad. Mm-hmm. This is just an excuse to talk about something that you feel maybe didn't fit into some of these categories but should be mentioned. And I went for Persona 2-1 because I felt like it was easily one of the best stories I've ever encountered in a JRPG. And I just wanted to pull attention to that. The way the story is organically unveiled and you learn the truth of what happened that day and the secrets that the characters have been hiding, even the mystery of like, who is this kid's dad that he's hiding and all of that. It's just very good. It's very well written. I was a big fan of the story.
I also picked Persona 2-1, but for the exact opposite reasons. And that was just not remembering how tedious and annoying I found like the battles and team of negotiation and all of that stuff, because I've only played this game through once in the past on the PSP, and going back and revisiting it and playing several hours of it, I was like, I'm done. This is enough. I've experienced this, and this is enough. So it was surprising in a bad way. Again, overall, like the game, don't necessarily think I need to experience it beyond that one time.
Chris, what have you got that surprised you?
Well, as a joke answer, I wrote FF6 because I just thought that was funny. I just wanted to give it another trophy. But no. It's actually Trials of Mana, because it's so surprising that it came to the States at last and was remade at the same time, which is, again, surprising.
Yeah, both versions at about the same. That was unexpected. It reminds me a little bit of do you remember when they dropped the official translation of Mother 1?
Yeah.
It was like during a big conference, they were like, oh, and by the way, English version of Mother 1 available for download now. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Yeah.
And everybody went, what?
Hold on there.
No, nobody asked for that, but thanks. How about Mother 3? No. You can't have that till you finish your Mother 1.
Uh-oh.
And your colon rebirth.
Yeah. So yeah, Trials of Mana, that's the most surprising. The least surprising thing about it is that all those jerks on the internet who are like, Seiken Densetsu is the best game on the Super Nintendo, or Seiken Densetsu 3, are no longer saying that. They don't say Trials of Mana is the best Super Nintendo game. They've moved on to something else that we haven't all played.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so that concludes our roundup. Here's what's coming up next.
Oh, we're having like a preview.
Because we're entering into something a little special that we haven't done before. We are entering into what I persist in calling Sequel Palooza.
We're reviewing only football games.
Sequel to Electric Boogaloo.
The next 10 games that we review will all be the second game in a series where we have reviewed the first game. Why is it 10? Because there's an extra game that I wanted to cram in there.
It's Final Fantasy 6-2, isn't it?
But I didn't want to screw up the numbering system. So one of the episodes is going to be like episode 63 and a half. Just deal with it. I've just... There's nothing special about it other than I wanted to put the game in there.
What game?
The people at home will have to find out.
Okay.
I'll tell you when the mics are off.
Okay. I know that you already
I'll cover my ears.
I've forgotten.
There is a spiritual sequel in there that is not actually the second game in a series, but it is the spiritual sequel to a game we've played. And there's a game in there that we said we would never play.
Ooh.
So a lot of fun surprises coming up in the next 10 games. We look forward to you guys going on a Sequel Palooza journey with us.
Yay.
Again, for the second time.
And we will kick it off next time with Wild Arms 2.
Wild Arms. The arms are wilder than ever.
Both of them.
Yeah, this time it's 2 Wild Arms. Yep. 2 wild, 2 quit. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Home on the RNG is a presentation of Mad Centaur Productions. You can find Jeff on YouTube at youtube.com/Centaur Productions or on Twitter at Jeff Centaur. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussMac25. You can find Chris on Twitch at twitch.tv/LiarExaggerate or on Twitter at EnrichFlavor. Thank you for listening, and remember to save your game before powering off this podcast.